Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's Top Censored News of the Week. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a very dishonest or sloppy way, and it's always on purpose. I'm here with Craig Pasta Jardula, our co-host. Today, we're going through the top 3 stories that the media either ignored or they told us about it, but they didn't tell us in an honest way. So we're going to do our best to go through each of these one at a time. Okay, we'll start it off with coming in at number 3. Mexico goes full dystopia. What's going on in Mexico just south of the border? Here we go. A look at the news coming out right now. Here we are. Mexico makes biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. It looks like Mexico has officially introduced a digital identification system by signing a law that turned the previously optional biometric-based citizen code into a mandatory document for all citizens. We looked a little closer at this, and luckily, friend of the show, Derek Bros, did some reporting on this, and he's always ahead of it. He's always ahead of it. We like to, we have to play catch up sometimes, but this, make no mistake about it, this is happening, and it's not. We're gonna get into this in a second, but it's not just a uniquely Mexico thing. But let's see what they're doing right now. Here's the story from Last American Vagabond. Derek Bros puts this out. Mexico moves closer to biometric ID. Will the people comply? Privacy advocates warn that a package of new laws recently passed in Mexico are a dangerous step towards requiring digital ID for all interactions. Oh boy. It looks like as of Thursday, July 17th. So this was a few weeks ago. Several new laws went into effect in Mexico, which are likely to greatly increase the push towards a digital surveillance state. The Mexican government says these new laws are aimed at fighting organized crime, drug trafficking, and helping with the search of missing people. The government has also argued that controversial changes to the nation's telecommunications laws are designed to bridge the so-called digital divide, referring to the limited access to internet and cellular service in rural areas compared to urban environments. So they're doing it for the people, Craig. That's what it looks like to me. They care. President Sheinbaum, she has claimed that critics who have referred to the laws as a spy law or a censorship law, let me guess, she's going to say they're just conspiracy theorists, right? They're going too far with this. They're ignoring the protections built into the new measures. It is false. It is a lie that the laws passed have to do with the state spying. Of course it doesn't have to do with that. I take her for her word. False is a deliberate lie, said Sheinbaum at a July press conference. The most concerning change relates to the personal identity code for residents and citizens of Mexico, known as the Clave Única de Registro de Población, or CURP. Typically, the CURP consists of 18 characters related to a person's family names, their place of birth, and their gender. The CURP operates similarly to U.S. Social Security number. Okay, well, we have seen a lot of relations here. So these laws are set to require the CURP to include an applicant's photograph, QR code containing biometric data. We know the drill. It's the fingerprints, the eyes, all that stuff. The laws call for the creation of the Unified Identity Platform. So within 90 days, by the Ministry of the Interior and the Digital Transformation Agency, the platform will integrate the biometric CURP with the healthcare system as well. Oh, of course, it'll be our healthcare system. Their healthcare system as well will be mixed in with it. Mexico's Civilian Intelligence Service and the National Guard will have access to the biometric data. The biometric CURP will also be required for purchasing internet and cellular service. This will force businesses selling these services to check a customer's CURP before purchase. Very bad, very bad. For those who think it's just a Mexico problem, think again. Craig, if you want to chime in on this, did we see this coming? Is this exactly by the plan? Are we next? Oh, your mic.
Sorry. Thank you so much. And thank you once again. That's a great question, Matt. Don't want to sound too corny and stuff like that. And really, there's going to be a treat today for the people who are watching the show. Once again, we don't get the help of the algorithm. In fact, the algorithm pushes back against us. This is evident when Matt's first channel got taken down, and now we're operating on a pirate situation. Evidence that my YouTube channel with Fiorella Isabel, The Truth Wire, which was once the Convo Couch with a good friend Johnny Tsunami, still demonetized. Won't let us make money on this platform. My Pasta to Go channel, if you haven't gone there, please go there, subscribe. I can make money over there, but guess what? Every single time my channel's monetized, but they demonetize my videos. So I don't even bother to cut up videos anymore, and it's kind of a quagmire. But we get a different perspective here on the show today because we have a person who, in myself, I don't speak the language 100%. Obviously, I have Spanglish, but I go down to Latin America a lot. I'm often with my business partner, Fiorella, so I know that I'm getting a great perspective. When these trips are set up, there's a lot of translation involved, so you can hear exactly what's going on. You can speak and confer as if you're speaking the same language with no problem. Now, Mexico is a very interesting situation. Mexico, for many years, especially from the point of the intelligence apparatus, United States and Mexico are tied at the hip. Doesn't make a difference who's president in Mexico, who's president of the United States. The intelligence agencies have been working together for quite some time. We understand the influence the intelligence apparatus has in Latin America, how it influences a lot of governments, pushes back a lot against a lot of other governments, and uses the liberties of the United States military to go in there and cleanse these places out in their mind to keep control. So Mexico and the United States have a very interesting relationship. Now we have a President Sheinbaum, right? Part of the Moreno party, which is the second person of this party. AMLO being the first, Andrés Manuel Labrador, who was the president, was the first time a different party in over 100 years had held power. In other words, their version of the Republicans and Democrats have always been in and out of power in Mexico for quite some time. This was something new. Now, just like Brazil, and this is what I'm doing, I'm comparing Lula to Sheinbaum in this situation where even though, and the reason why they become president, same thing with Pedro Gustavo in Colombia, same reason why Manuel Zelaya's wife, what's her name, Xiomara, why she gained power, why the Sandinistas, Daniel Ortega still owns power, is they put themselves on the side of the poor. Sheinbaum has done the same thing with the Moreno party and AMLO. They put themselves on the side of the poor, but just like Lula, right, where Lula does have like a 60% approval rating in his country, he does have a big part of the country, I don't want to say it's the somewhat conservative party, but the Bolsonaristas, they can't stand Lula. They despise him. They hate him. And then obviously you have your supporters and love him. But in the middle there in Brazil, there's a lot of people who will lean towards Lula because of the economics. Same reason for Sheinbaum. She puts herself on the side of the poor. But just like Lula, I believe, right? We asked that question, is that person a paid propagandist or a useful idiot? I think it's a blind spot for Sheinbaum. I think it's a blind spot for Lula.
So you're saying she really believes this about, hey, guys, stop complaining. This is good. We need to. Yes. She really believes this. That this is
there's
not,
a whole contingent.
This will not be used against you. Don't worry. Stop freaking out.
She believes that.
Yeah. Okay.
She believes that because this is the blind spot. This is the blind spot of the left in America. Mm-hmm. They see rich people being able to expedite all their necessary needs in a time of what they consider to be a healthcare crisis, right? We look at it as an op. They look at it as a healthcare crisis. All the Democrats I know, right, talked about the people I was in the street with, all the people from the Bernie Sanders diners. It was a crisis. Well, everything is in play for rich people to get what they need. How do we get poor people on the same type of level where in a situation of a health crisis, they can get their medicines expedited to them quickly? That's what this is about. This is about the other countries asking for vaccines, thinking they're not getting vaccines because they're a poor country, but all the rich people in America get to protect themselves with vaccines. Why can't I protect myself, my citizens with vaccines because we're poor? No, put us on the same system. I do believe this is a blind spot for Scheinbaum. I do believe this is a blind spot for the left. That is why, and just breaking news now, not breaking news, but on Fridays, starting next week, Edwin DeJesus, who was part of the medical freedom movement from the left, spoke out for people who didn't want to take a shot and push back against the mandates, is going to come on and start giving us updates on what's going on and people who were fired because of the mandates in New York and hired for the mandates back in New York. By the way, we have a video of Mondami saying he wouldn't hire those people back. That's just another side note. Blind spot of the left. Lula, when he got, and I think the World Economic Forum and all the globalists were like, yeah, let's get Lula back in the play. We're not really winning with Bolsonaro, and he's anti-vaccine. At the very least, with Bolsonaro, we'll get some shots in some arms because he's a vaccine salesman, and he's connected the mandates for vaccines to the social programs and the help you get.
Yeah.
You want to get your money, the help. You don't want to have to send your son because you're living in the favelas. You don't want to have to send your son to go to work. Instead, we'll give you the money that he would get to go to work if you send him to school. Plus, we'll buy his uniform. Make sure he has his vaccines and you get that money and your son gets to get an education. It's a win-win situation, right? Yeah. Now, there'll be people who will talk around that, whatnot. But this is a blind spot of the left. This is a blind spot of Scheinbaum. She's looking at it. How do I get poor people the medical necessities they need? And, once again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about Lula. I could be wrong about, you know what I'm saying? But there is this area, and that's what I think is going on. And, I think we need to listen, when I was in Brazil, and Lula was having a press conference and they were taking questions, I convinced one of them to let me ask a question. And then they asked me what the question was, and I told them the question. And when I got in the room, right, I was going to ask him about how he feels about vaccine skeptics. I was going to identify myself as a leftist, somebody who believes is pro-migration, someone who believes in freedom of the press, who believes that you were wrongfully jailed, Lula. But I am against necessarily mandates for vaccines. Can you promise me, or would you make a statement about mandating the vaccine for people in the favelas who want to get, and I forgot the name of the program. There was a program I had the name. I was going to ask him that question. They didn't let me ask him that question. You know what I'm saying? We ran out of time. We don't have enough time. Sorry for those who want to ask questions. We got to get out of there. And I kind of scolded them. But I mean, this is a blind spot. This is a blind spot for them. And a lot of it has to do with like Fidel Castro bragging about making vaccines for people that the West was shutting them out of, the common vaccines that, once again, I think we would question, right? But is there a vaccine against malaria or something, or a vaccine against, I don't know, just a lot has to stem with Fidel Castro and the great medicine that comes out of Cuba, because they're great. They understand they export doctors in Cuba. Well, this is a blind spot, Matt. I believe it to be. I could be wrong, though. That's my personal opinion.
I'm leaning in your direction that she doesn't know what's coming next. This is her saying let's help the people get have more access, have more transparency, all these things. But we know that those are the words. Like transparency is a word that's always used against us, right? That's the end of our the whole Homeland Security Patriot Act. I mean, we have years of this stuff being used against us, so we see it coming a mile away. But make no mistake, whether it's her intention or not, it's happening.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad,
and it's really bad. Yeah. And here we go.
Can I make one more point too, as well, Matt, really quickly? Also, how much power does she have? One thing I learned in Brazil, and I can't remember her name, but she was the first one to prescribe ivermectin, right? Like she was from Brazil. And Dr. McCullough had actually given me a referral to go speak to her. She was amazing. We did it. So I asked her about who she was supporting for president. I asked her off camera. Are we there?
Oh, that's a weird. Hold on a second. That was a strange little blip. Okay. We should be back. Okay.
I asked this woman who she was supporting for president, and kind of off the camera, and shouldn't let the cat out of the bag. But I think she was more leaning towards Lula than Bolsonaro. And that was interesting because I know a lot of people were really okay with Bolsonaro, but just simply because he talked out against the vaccine. And he even got ivermectin out there to the people. He made it accessible, Bolsonaro. But she had said off camera, like, look, it doesn't make a difference who's president. Big pharma, just like in your country, controls so much. They have so much power. They got most of the government bought off and all the representatives. Well, I think a lot of that is same in Mexico, that I don't think if Sean Baum even opposed to this, she'd be able to do it. Remember when AMLO talked to people about going out? Like, he was like, ignore the COVID, go on out, have a good time, don't worry about your mask. Well, he got beat up and ridiculed for that, and he had to change his stance on that. And I went to Mexico City during COVID at the tail end of it, and it was kind of like a ghost town. People weren't out, they weren't doing those things. And so even if she had even if her opinion was different and she wanted to push back against this, how much power does she really have? Big Pharma has got their grips in all these major built-out countries out there, all these industrialized countries. They have so much power. So even if she was against it, what would she be able to do?
Yeah, great point. All right, moving on. Next story on Top Censored News of the Week. Coming in at number 2, Israel launches intense airstrikes on several villages in South Lebanon. Oh boy, here they go again. What we have here, there it is. I'll take this down. Israel bombs multiple areas in Lebanon, including Bekaa Valley and Baalbek. Lebanon's president has reiterated calls for Hezbollah to disarm, which the group refuses to do under Israeli fire. This is from Al Jazeera. Israel military launched a massive series of airstrikes on several areas across Lebanon in its latest near daily violation of a ceasefire agreement with the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah last November. Of course, how many violations can they do? Lebanon's national news agency reported at least 7 air raids on towns in the Bekaa Valley and the mountainous region of Baalbek in the eastern and northern parts of the country, far from the southern border with Israel on Thursday. It also said more attacks targeted at Gaza area of South Lebanon, leading to a fire at the warehouse. Israel's defense minister confirmed that Israel was launching what he described as a violent renewed attack on the largest site, the production of precision missiles belonging to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Every attempt by the terrorist organization to recover, reposition, or threaten will be met with relentless force. Okay, sure. The Israeli raids targeted the outskirts of Brittletown and Nasriya town in Talet, Asunda area in the Bekaa Valley, as well as the vicinity of Jarmak area in Jazin and the areas of can you help me with this one? Madaya. Mahmudia. And
Mahmudia.
There it is.
Mahmudia.
And Kardali. Yeah, that's this is not being reported by the Western media. Here's a shot from the ground of the actual attack. Here it is. So I am not going to need to actually ask you this question, Craig, because we should know the answer to this. And for anyone who's watching that is wondering, why would Israel continue to break these ceasefires, other than the fact that they know they have the West's protection? But what are they actually up to here? And I saw this tweet and I thought this was this kind of hits it on the head here. This is from Thomas Keith. Gaddafi was outlining the operational blueprint decades before the collapse phase began. He saw what most Arab leaders refused to admit: the borders weren't just redrawn with ink, but with blood, media psyops, and Gulf finance demolitions. And the ones doing it were the internal agents disguised as allies sitting in gilded places from Riyadh to Abu Dhabi, making deals with Mossad while their people starved. Here is actual video of Gaddafi telling us this. And I'll put this on mute because there's some stuff. Okay. Syria and Lebanon from the map, so that Israel's borders are, and I say these words to you, and we will see them achieved, if not in our era, then in our children's era. But unfortunately, it will happen. Syria and Lebanon, the plan is to remove them so that the borders of so-called Israel are with Turkey rather than, and then Israel's, okay, wait, hold on. The
balkanization of Arab countries.
Yeah. He nailed this, meaning that the balkanization of Egypt, balkanization of Syria. Egypt is being mapped to become 4 states. Syria will become 5 small states. A small Lebanon. Division of nations into states, communes, and canyons, and this maps and the worlds are in, and the words are written. Okay, so Gaddafi, obviously, before they murdered him, before Hillary Clinton took him out, he called out this entire Greater Israel project and U.S.'s backing of it, and we've been doing this ever since for more decades since they took him out. But he called this so far in advance. Obviously, I mean, I don't want to say obviously, but this is another reason why the Western media won't report on this, and they're just going to let this play out. However Israel wants to play out what they're doing in real time, and still using our checkbook to write the checks. And people here don't even know this is happening. Your thoughts, Craig?
Well, there's a lot of weight to his words now that we're looking at what's going on in Syria, and then we see Jelani having to leave, supposedly come back, and he's under threat. And I mean, that relationship lasted how long? Anybody who makes friends with the West, you know, what's the old saying? It's bad to have America as an enemy. It's even worse to have America as a friend. You know, I guess because one day they're going to E2 brute you and stab you in the back. But there's a lot of weight to his words too, as well. And this is something to point out, the fact that Israel has not stopped bombing Lebanon for quite some time. They've been bombing southern Lebanon for quite some time. But they want to move up north of further north into there and whatnot. And then Lebanon's already a government that's already on the kind of fritz as well. They've been having their problems even before this started, ever since the blast. So there's a lot of weight to his words, and that's the good thing about Twitter out there, right? There's only so much they can censor. I believe that video right there is definitely being throttled from behind because they don't want people to see that. But, for those of us who are in the bubble who can catch it, who already praise this stuff and talk about this stuff all the time. And it was so sinister. I remember all of a sudden out of the blue, Gaddafi became the worst enemy in the world. And they extinguished him pretty quickly. It was like, boom, problem, get rid of him right away. But he was doing all these things. He was opening his mouth, speaking. He was creating his own currency. So it's crazy where we're at today. And the fact that nobody really calls us out, pushes back. And they're going to continue to do it while we pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we got to keep an eye on this. This is an ongoing situation.
You know when people should look at this? When they go to the grocery store and they're paying $12 the eggs, they're like, yeah, they're bombing Lebanon, though.
Yeah, you can feel like you're participating in something. Yeah, your grocery bill is going towards this. The extra money's going towards this. So there you go.
We can't subsidize the eggs in this country. That's socialism. But we can send money to Israel for them to continue to fight their wars while their citizens get free healthcare and education. Okay.
Oh yeah, there are a bunch of communists out there, and that right-wing government, they just decided that socialism was the way to go. They all get whatever they want. Free everything, right? Free housing, free everything. Just steal your house. They'll help you steal a house and you get it for free. Good job. Mm-hmm. Way to go. Okay.
Well, they spit on Christians as they walk by.
Yeah.
But go ahead, you fund them. You
stop sharing those videos, Craig, because that's anti-Semitic of you.
But that's not all Israelis, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But
sure.
Just the ones we're funding.
All right. Here we go, guys. Coming in at number 1 for top censor news of the week. It's been revealed Microsoft has been helping Israel spy on, target, and murder Palestinians since 2021. Holy crap. I guess, I mean, after knowing about, the nefarious behavior of Palantir, it doesn't really surprise us that Microsoft was in on this, but let's look at how it played out. And this does come from The Guardian, so I do warn you in advance. It's okay now. And I do like Solomon Ahmed does report accurately on the genocide, but and he does point out here that The Guardian is the one that did the investigation. So The Guardian uncovers that Israel's Unit 8200 has been channeling millions of Palestinian phone calls into Microsoft Azure cloud, up to 1 million calls per hour since 2021. Leaked documents reveal over 200 million hours of conversations stored in Europe for military purposes. Oh boy. Okay. Well, here's the Guardian story. Million calls an hour. Israel relying on the Microsoft cloud for expansive surveillance of Palestinians. And we know the Guardian is not going to tell us the part about Microsoft helping with the targeting and murdering. They're just keeping tabs on them, right? They're just keeping a record on their Hamas interactions, not actually figuring out how to target them with their phone calls. And these are innocent people. So this has been revealed. Let's see some of the backstory. We'll go through this quickly, but so it's been revealed during their investigation with The Guardian, Israeli-Palestinian publication. It's called, Plus 972 magazine, and Hebrew language outlet Local Call, the cloud-based system, which first became operational in 2022. It enables Unit 8200 to store a giant trove of calls daily for extended periods of time. Microsoft claims that Nadella, now that's the CEO that set this up, CEO of Microsoft that set this up in 2021, claimed that Nadella was unaware of what kind of data Unit 8200 planned in store for Azure. But a cache of leaked Microsoft documents and interviews with 11 sources from the company and Israeli military intelligence reveals how it's been used to store expansive archives of everyday Palestinian communications. According to this, the sources, the cloud-based storage platform has facilitated the preparation of deadly airstrikes and has shaped military operations in Gaza and the West Bank. So everything that we're experiencing right now was set up in advance. This isn't just they're making it up as they go. This is the infrastructure was put in advance for the genocide we're seeing today. I want to be very clear with people. If you don't understand this just yet, that Israel was planning this the entire time. The takeover of Gaza, the elimination of Palestine. And the way you do that is you set up a technical infrastructure, which they used Microsoft to do. And now Palantir is the one that's carrying out all of their technology to actually go through this entire population and murder them little at a time. And now they're all being starved to death on purpose.
Matt.
So, yes.
But China.
Oh, of course. Let's not forget
China.
Let's not. So look, we'll give Guardian a little credit for saying here's what we came up with. And this last part that Israel has long intercepted phone calls. So they're basically saying, okay, they're spying. We want everyone to know that they've been doing this and coordinating with the cellular calls that everyone's in Palestine has been making for the last 4 or 5 years. And that's kind of the extent of what the Guardian is saying here. And just like with the starvation story, I want to be clear. You guys know that all of these outlets, all the mainstream outlets coordinated at the same time. By about a week or two ago, it was okay. Finally, it was okay to say that Palestinians were starving. They're not telling you why. They're just telling you it happened. So just like with this story, what the Guardian is telling us is, it happened, but they're insinuating that it's for a larger cause, which is stop Hamas. And I want to be very clear. That's why you might think you're getting down to the bottom of it. Guardian is giving you a groundbreaking discovery, but the backdrop of that discovery is it's done with good intent, even though it's compromising people's privacy. And we've been through that here time and time again. So that's the extent of their coverage, but we know what this is really about.
Yeah. Well, it's about timely release of information, right? It's about a narrative of management. It's so much information has gotten out there that they have to go ahead and release that to make themselves look legit. Also, too, planting a seed for further trust for something down the road in which they can then dupe and steer you in the wrong direction. So that's why they do these things, to actually put about an image of legitimacy, but they're not. We understand that, they're only doing this because they have to now, because they want to still appear to be the news. And if they're not talking about it and other people are talking about it, smaller outlets are talking about it. But that's nothing different for us. We always look at information that we get from smaller outlets months or weeks before the mainstream's talking about it until they're forced to talk about it. But what this leads to more than anything is data mining. That's the word. And remember John Klychek, who's been on the show, and I had him on the radio show before, and I was kind of explaining to him, the audience, when he used the term data mining, I'm like, you got to be careful using that term over here, just joking, because, that could be a conspiracy theorist term. You're a globalist. You're a paranoid schizophrenic who think that there's this global cabal that wants to, know everywhere we go and watch everything we do. But that's exactly what they're doing. And that's why they're data mining and actually storing the data. So if, they can always go back to it at any time. Oh, there's this new guy out there, Matt Weinglass. Go back and look and see at the data mining we have, see what else we got on him. And it's why kind of tied to what Whitney Webb was talking about right now. They don't need Epstein anymore. They know everything we do, when we do it, and how we do it. So they know what everybody does in private. You know what I'm saying? They understand that. They can always use that against us. So that's what this is about. This is further kind of solidifying the things we were talking about, that there is a global cabal using AI and other technologies to go out there and just data mine everything we do at all times, who we talk to, how we talk to. The greatest threat to the empire is its own citizens. So they need to know who has fingered them, pointed them, and more or less given them momentum to go out and push back against them, because that person has to be eliminated, because that's a threat. Yeah. That's what this is about. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that we have Monica Perez here, she talked about we need to make sure they stop this, because this is the main reason they're using AI moving forward. And when people stand behind Donald Trump that shouldn't stand behind Donald Trump as he's furthering the AI movement, the security state, Captain Austin Fitz just talked about all this stuff. It's kind of like we knew from Obama from day one, if we really want to. When Citibank sent him a letter and said, this is who you can hire, we knew right there and then this guy was no good, but we used copium and we played him as the lesser of two evils for several years, maybe even voted for him twice. When Donald Trump sat down day two with Larry Ellison and Sam Altman talking about Stargate and AI vaccines moving forward, we should have known right then and there. That's what this is about. And that's another thing, the reason why Donald Trump will never push back against the Fourth Industrial Revolution, because Israel is the number one spy firm out there, sales of spy equipment and whatnot out there. And here they are doing it again. This is something that we've known, but here comes the media now playing their part, acting like they're being sincere about it. Nope, sorry.
Yeah. Well, if you guys aren't fully understanding the next step in this phase, we're at it right now. This was breaking from yesterday, and this is where we're headed. So the infrastructure, like we said, put in place in 2021. Here we are right now with the ultimate plan, which is this: Israel is planning Gaza City takeover after mass displacement order. Channel 12 reports that Israel's preparing to occupy Gaza City in a phased operation, beginning with a mass evacuation of its residents, currently estimated at 900,000 to 1 million people. The plan will be presented to Israel's security cabinet on Thursday. Well, here we are. And guess what? Netanyahu is opening up his mouth and telling us this himself right on Fox News. If you haven't seen it yet, here you go. He's telling us the plan.
Immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. And
There it is. He's saying it's exactly what we're doing. Make no mistake about it. This is breaking right now, and it really puts a bow on it, on this number one story. We know the trajectory has been in place, and here we are. Netanyahu declaring his plans to fully occupy all of Gaza. That's it. There you go. And it's not about the hostages. Spoiler alert, it was never about the hostages.
Well, you have 15-minute cities everywhere. One in Gaza, one in Maui, right? That's what the globalists have. They want to start, and that's the thing. When you wipe out a whole area, so many people didn't realize, like, people were going to get, like, that lost their house or their belongings in Lahaina. Now all the paperwork that they had, their birth certificate and stuff, is all burnt down to a crisp and everything, right? Now they go on a digital grid, right? That's the perfect thing for anybody who's left in Gaza and remains in Gaza for that area, which will be much smaller, much more less people populated, because they want them out of there, right? Because a lot of the area they want for their own citizens, but if they have to build back a Gaza, whatnot, and occupy the whole thing, and if there's anything left over there, it's going to be a 15-minute city, digitalized, the whole 9 yards, everything on the grid, every footprint, every stamp, everywhere walk. It's going to be a testing ground for the future, which will kind of be really scary as we get into a story later on talking about how AI is starting to think for itself to survive. Combine that with the humans pushing everything towards an AI mentality. It's like the Matrix is starting to look more like a documentary and not a movie.
Yeah, here we are. Welcome to the Matrix.
Weep.
Yep. Maybe we should just take that blue pill and just go back to sleep. It might be time. Just kidding, guys. No, we're staying wide awake here. And we're going to keep bringing you guys the news the media refuses to cover. And that'll do it for today's Top Censored
News of the Week.
Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now. And they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food, no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart will cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.